Name's May and welcome to May Loves. Today we're just going to be doing a kind of haul, but it's from basically everything I've got since about February, because I've been on a low buy, but it's just been my birthday, so I do have quite a lot of gifts and things, and I went to Cheshire Oaks with my friend, so we've got that as well. So there is a bit here, not as much as maybe you're used to seeing on hauls, but none of these are first impression items. All of them I can give a staple review on, which I think is quite cool. So I'm going to start with eyeshadow palettes because that's definitely the largest area. This first one is a bit controversial, but it's the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Quad in Rust. I got this off eBay for £7, brand new in box. As you can see, it is no longer brand new in box. It's looking a little bit beaten up. I like this, but two of the shadows are very different textures to the other two. So the centre two shadows, these two, kind of oxidize on the skin and get a lot cooler and a lot darker, and they're also a lot drier, whereas the other shades are a lot creamier. So I'm sorry, I've got stuff on my hand from having a look at everything earlier, so I'll just wipe it off. Yeah, they're very different textures, and I'm not really sure why, because surely if they're all... I get that some shades are harder to manufacture, but brown and orange shouldn't really be that difficult. But I'm very close to hitting pan on this shade because I use it to blend everything out. So this brown in particular is quite scratchy. I mean, I'm not complaining, I got it for £7. And they are pretty pigmented. I did a couple of 1-2s there. Like if you can see there, that brown is looks pretty patchy. This one's like slightly darker than my skin tone. These two were obviously notably darker, and this one's about the same shade, maybe a bit darker, but you know, everything is. So I do like it. I'm not sure. I don't think you can buy this anymore, like first hand. If you can find it cheap on eBay, then yeah, sure, go for it. I personally wouldn't be buying directly from the brand at this stage, but I feel okay because it was via eBay. Yeah, if you can find it discounted, go for it because it is a good grab palette because it does have everything you need for like everyday looks. Yeah, I have mixed feelings on this one. Okay, so next is another like mini palette. This is the Urban Decay On The Run in Detour. This has also been used and abused. This, I wish I had something with some of the colours from here and some of the colours from here in this formula, because I do like this formula a bit more than the Kat Von D one. But I don't find you can do many cohesive looks because it's quite a light palette. So if you're quite deep in skin tone, I don't know how much you're going to be able to do with this. Because the darker shade will be more of like a mid-tone brown on you. Like that's a shimmer shade, so I wouldn't use that in the crease. So the darker shade you have to deepen up your crease is this one here, which still, if you compare that to the one from the Kat Von D palette, if we can get it to build up, because, you know, patch sissy up in here. So this is the one from Kat Von D and this is the one from Urban Decay. You can see it's quite a lot darker. But I do like it. Like, it's got these blues in there, which I think make it a lot more versatile. But I find that the blues are very hard to incorporate into the look because they don't really blend well into the tones of the other shadows. Ooh, we're missing a corner off 16th Street. I've got to say my favourite shades are probably Switch. I don't know what's going on down there. I've got to say my favourite shades are probably Detour and Switchback. Detour is this more yellow toned brown. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see. And then Switchback is this transformative clear base with an icy blue sheen, which is really unique, I find, because I don't have many of those shades, and if you put it on top of a brown shadow, it gets that kind of like blue-brown look without having to have an extra eyeshadow. But you could make anything brown, so you can make like a red brown or a green brown, or wait, you can make anything blue even. You can make like a red blue or a green blue or whatever you wanted. So I do find that really cool. Another eyeshadow palette. This is the Zulu by Juvia's. This is another eBay find. I think I paid £8 for this. This makes me feel things, man. There's only 2 Juvia's Place palettes, like the colourful ones, that have truly spoken to me. This and the Festival. The more neutral shades and more warm shades up here, I find are a different texture to the rest of them. Like, these are a lot chalkier and drier feeling, and this brown I find I have to build up quite a bit, which can be good. I mean, we don't always want full-on pigment straight away, but for a brand that's known so much for their pigmented eyeshadows, it was a bit, I don't want to say disappointing because I wasn't disappointed by it, but it was a bit odd, especially because it's the only neutral in the palette, really. The rest of them are incredibly pigmented, like, be careful. And I didn't find any issues with staining with the pink shade, which is always good, because usually anything that goes near my eyes stains. My favourite shade in this palette, well, I'm a sucker for yellow eyeshadow, but I'm not too sure about this one. It's just kind of, it didn't excite me as much when I put it on my eyes. So this is it on hand. I think my favourite shades are probably this matte neon turquoise, and this, what looks like if NARS Orgasm was made into the world's most beautiful eyeshadow. It's rose gold but done absolutely perfectly. I've never seen anything like it. And then obviously the blues and greens are all stunning as well. It's a beautiful palette, and if you are looking for something just to add a pop of colour to your life, I would recommend it, because I think this row makes it more approachable, because we see in, like, that's a good, better representation of the colour. A lot of the time I think society sees these bright warm tones as more neutral, and therefore more approachable than, for example, this colour. And even these two are seen as quite approachable these days. So I do think it's a good dip your toes in palette for bright colours if you're really not used to them. So I would recommend that. Gotta love eBay, haven't you? Finally, for the palettes, this was a birthday present, and I don't think I've ever owned a makeup item this expensive. This is the Urban Decay Born to Run Child. As you can see, I've tried to keep it quite neat. I'm trying to, that's probably the most realistic look you're going to get at it on this camera, but it's stunning. The colours, Smog, Wanderlust and Big Sky, are absolutely gorgeous, and I like that there's the option to do more cool tone looks with this, because you don't see, we don't see more cool toned shadows a lot. And again, this is the same formula as the On the Run palette, but if you look at it, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see, but this corner, this line here up to Jet, which is the black, so from Good As Gone to Jet, including Smog, this kind of triangle is quite cool toned, and then Weekender I find is quite neutral, so it can lean more cool when you're using it with these tones. And I just think that's quite unique in today's palette market, because we see a lot of these like Kat Von D type shades where they're super rich and warm. Again, that's not showing up on camera, probably there. Super rich and warm toned, and that's just not what if I'm going to do a dramatic look, I like to go cool toned, and if I'm going to do a more natural look, then I stick to warmer, bronzier tones, or usually even neutrals. I just find it more flattering on me. So I really like that they have that option, and you can really go either way. You could go with the berries, you could go with the greens. Yeah, I just think it's incredibly versatile. The formula is amazing as always. Bit high in price. Do I think it's a better formula than, say, my Revolution Velvet Rose? Not necessarily. It's a different formula. I still really like the formula on that, and it's one of my all-time favourite palettes. But if you are in the market for a higher priced eyeshadow palette, I would keep an eye out for that, especially if it goes on sale. So now we're on to the face products. So I'm kind of just working my way in what I have the most of. This is a Stila Cream Contour Kit that I got from Cheshire Oaks in Light. I'm going to start off by saying this is not a contour. It is, one, incredibly pigmented, so beware, especially if you're fair like me. And two, it is super, like, I'm going to blend some out on my hand for you. It's extraordinarily warm. So I use this more, and then you can see the highlight is like, I'm not sure if you can see, but it's darker than my skin tone. But I kind of use it to dull down that contour shade. I think on someone with a warmer, darker skin tone, more like medium, this would probably look really nice. But I definitely use it as a bronzer, not a contour, because I would look insane. But as a bronzer, I do think it's really nice. It's a lot warmer than usual, but if I'm using creams, it's usually the summertime anyway, or like nice weather, and I'm going for a more glowy bronzed look. So I do find it fits with that. I like it, but not for its intended purpose. I also really like, just when I'm going in with my brush, running it over my eyelids, because it is such a warm colour that it does just make my eyes look a bit brighter than they already are, because I have cool toned eyes. Next we have the Urban Decay Sin Afterglow palette, which I got for myself as a reward for passing my driving test. This is beautiful. So it's got it's supposedly got 3 blushes and 3 highlights in. As far as I'm concerned, and for my usage, it's got 2 blushes, a bronzer, 2 highlights, and a lid shade. Or like a blush bronze topper. As far as my usage goes, because as you can see, this is definitely way too dark to be used as a highlight on me. In the summer, I could probably get away with this one, especially if I mixed it with Sin, and then Sin will work for me all year round. These 2 blushes are stunning, but this is more of a bronzer on me. So I'll just do swatches. Kiss Off and Score are the 2 like blushy blushes, and I think I'm not even sure you'll be able to tell because they are very gently pigmented. It's they're almost similar in shade. That's the bronze in Paranoid, but the undertones are very different. So Kiss Off has more of like that pastel bubblegum pink undertone, although it is still very natural. It's just a lot more cool toned. Whereas Score is again more of that NARS Orgasm vibe with a lot warmer peachy pink undertone. Although it's got a lot less shimmer in, and it's a lot less in your face, because whenever I've seen Orgasm swatched, it looks very bright. This is a lot softer, so if you had deeper skin than me, I don't think this would be any good for you. I think all the blushes would be very natural highlights. But for me and my skin tone and my usage, I really love this palette. If I'm travelling, I'll take this with me because I put Paranoid in the crease and PSA on the lid if I want an easy smoky eye. And then these are the highlights. They're a bit more pigmented than the blush, but Spotlight, which is that middle one, the like peachier one, is still very natural. So as you can see, I could use 2. I could probably even use Spotlight as like a finishing powder in the winter. Probably a decent enough shade if you use with a light hand. But yeah, that's an accurate colour. Yeah, I just think it's a really pretty palette, but I wouldn't look into it if you are like even light medium in skin tone. I'm not sure it would work for you. So what should I do next? let's do bronzer. This is the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil, which I also got at Cheshire Oaks. It still smells like chocolate. Pretty sure it says 2012 on the back, which I think is the last time this packaging was used. But it does still smell like chocolate, and it was completely unused. I think this is very similar to my Makeup Academy Solar 100 bronzer, which is my favourite bronzer because it's nice and light. This is just a bit more yellowy and pigmented, whereas the MUA one is more like neutral to red leaning and is extraordinarily sheer, which is very good if you're pale like me. So I'll do quite a heavy swatch of this because even though it's more pigmented than my MUA one, it's not exactly the most pigmented thing in the world, thank God. So that's that on me, which just looks really nice and natural on the face, and it's a nice yellowy undertone, which is good for me because I do have a more like yellow-green undertone, which makes me impossible to buy foundation for. But yeah, I really like that. I'm not sure it's worth the price tag because I do have my Makeup Academy one, but this one feels like packaging's going to stay intact and that one does not. So, who knows? Right, so next up is another Cheshire Oaks find. Take a shot every time I say Cheshire Oaks. We've got another 1, 2. I've got another 4 Cheshire Oaks products after this, so this is the Cover FX Custom Cover Drops in N20. I use this when I'm fake tanned and fake tanned only because otherwise it is super dark on me, but I mix this in with a product I'm going to talk about later, a primer, and it just makes anything like a tinted moisturiser whilst using very little. So as you can probably tell, that is quite dark on me. I'm not sure it's actually picking up on camera just how dark. No. There you can kind of see. But it is very dark on me, so I can only use it when I've got fake tan on, which should be okay because we're approaching summertime. But I think I got this for £9.99. It retails for about £35. I would not pay £35 for this, I'm telling you that for nothing. You get 15 mils of product. But because you do need so little, I do find it's... like I can see myself taking this on holiday with me, just to mix into, because I can customise it then. Yeah, I like how customisable it is. Not sure it's worth £35, and the colour is a bit dark, but if you could find it in your colour in Cheshire Oaks, then I would recommend it just to give it a shot. But I do quite like it. I love how customisable it is, and it is quite long lasting on my skin. Okay, so another Cheshire Oaks. This is the W7 Matte Fix Micro Special Effects Powder. This, again, is slightly too dark for me. I'm not sure. It looks pure white in the pan on camera, so... but it is slightly too dark for me. And it's quite orange in undertone, but it's a really nice feeling powder. Like, it's very smooth and silky and thin, but without feeling like those, you know, HD powders, that's what I'm thinking of. It doesn't feel like one of them because I don't like the feeling of them, so I'm very glad about that. But I do really like that powder, and I like that it's got a mirror, and I like that it's got a little bit of colour and coverage, especially if I mix my foundation a bit too light or too cool. There we go, you can kind of see the colour there. Then I find this very good for correcting that. So yeah, if you can, I think it only cost me like £1.50. If you can find it somewhere cheap, then I'd recommend it. I'm not sure I'd pay any more than £2 for it, but that's because I'm cheap. So eBay. This is the NYX Angel Veil. Oh, this is good. I like to mix. This is the product I was mentioning, liking to mix with the custom enhancer drops. It feels like, it looks like it should be moisturising, but it feels like it should not be. It's a really interesting texture. Don't know if you can see, but it does just come out as like a white cream. And then you blend it in and it gives just the most soft matte finish ever. But I know Kathleen Lights loved this at one point, so it can't be very, I don't find it very drying, which is good because I have combo skin. I just think it's really nice and it feels lovely on the skin. And if you mix it with something with a little bit of coverage, then it does just keep you nice and matte, not too matte, whilst offering enough coverage but not too much coverage. And yeah, I just really like that combination. So yeah, that was another. I think I got that for £4 off eBay, unused, brand new in box, still with the little sticker on. Yeah, I'd really recommend that primer, especially if you haven't tried it out. I think even if you buy it first hand, it only retails for like 14 quid or something. So I would recommend that one if you're on the market for a more hydrating but matte primer, which sounds weird to say. Okay, so last two makeup items before I move on to skincare, and I've only got two skincare items. So these are both mascaras, but I only use one of them on my lashes. So let's start with the CoverGirl Plumpify Blast Pro in black brown, which I use as brow gel on my eyebrows. In fact, I feel like I'm... There we go, that's been bugging me the entire video. Now I have a complete brow. As you can see, I have quite dark hair and I like to match my hair to my eyebrows. So this, I didn't like it as a mascara, but I do find it grabs all your brow hairs very well. It's a really weird brush. Never seen any... Oh, I'm acting as like a screen for it. I've never quite seen anything like it. It's a very odd brush, but do you know what? It works excellently on the brows, but I really didn't like it on the lashes, so I don't use it on that anymore. And then this is my new all-time favourite mascara. This is the W7 Flirty Eyes False Lash Effect Mascara. I also got this from Cheshire Oaks. I think it was about like £1 or something. So this is more like the Too Faced Better Than Sex in wand shape, but it's a lot shorter and more defined looking. So I'm only wearing one layer today and have been for about, I don't know, many hours. But this is what my lashes are looking like, and my lashes fall ridiculously quick. So for my eyelashes to still be looking this good after hours is amazing, and because it picks up so much product on the wand, I find that you literally need to do one layer and you can go. A lot of the time I've historically layered mascaras, something more like volumizing and plumping and then something more defining. I find that this does both because of the shape of the wand but also because of the shape of the bristles. So I find that really interesting, and I think this is an excellent mascara. I've never heard anyone talk about. Yeah, it's really, truly exceptional. So last but not least, we have two skincare items, both from Cheshire Oaks. I'm going to say that now. This first one is the W7 Overnight Lip Mask, which is supposed to be a dupe for the Laneige Lip Sleeping Mask. It smells like grapefruit, because I got it in Goodnight Grapefruit. I'm not sure how I feel about the scent. I probably should have picked the other one. But do you know what? I like citrus, so it's fine. This is super hydrating. It wasn't the texture I was expecting. I was expecting something a little bit looser, but this is quite stiff and solid. So like if my finger won't go anywhere past, but it still picks some up. But I do think I'm surprised by how much I like it, but I'm so very surprised by the formula. When I first touched the formula, I was like, I'm not going to like this, because typically I don't prefer stiffer pot lip balms. If I'm going to have something in a pot, I want to be able to take it from the pot and put it on my lips with ease. But that I do find moves with your finger quite a lot, and if you just like scoop a little bit out and put it on your lips, it works excellently. And finally, we have the Yes to Blueberries Fine Lines and Wrinkles Intensive Skin Repair Serum. Right, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm 18, as of very recently. But I have had a line there on my forehead since my 15th birthday. I have an anxiety and a generalised panic disorder. It's kind of, it was always going to happen. So I have started with the anti-aging stuff quite early on in life, but I'm playing the prevention game of more, because if I'm getting wrinkles at 15, then I've got a problem. This smells, the smell of it, it smells like what if, there's a really nice fruit smell, and then what if it went off and then got mixed with an old lady's perfume and some cough syrup. That's what this smells like to me. I think I like this, but I've not been using it for long enough to give like a final result. Yeah, my line's still there, my wrinkle, I'm not sure you'll be able to see it because my camera isn't that good. But my wrinkle is still there, but it does look like it's reduced, but I don't know if that's just a placebo effect. Because usually by this point in the day, my makeup would have fully settled in to that line there, but it's not. So I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this line. Nope, okay, never mind. You can think of me as flawless, so it's fine. Usually it would have settled into that line, but it hasn't. So I'm going to call that a success, and I have noticed that these lines have reduced a little bit because I'm a very expressive person and my face makes a lot of shapes. So yeah, I think is that everything? Yeah, as some of you may know, I've been on a purge and got rid of a lot of stuff and haven't really introduced much into my collection. I think that's stuff since like January time, February at the latest, and we're May. So yeah, I haven't introduced that much into my collection. And every time I put something in now, I like to take something out because if I'm not using things, they deserve a home in a better place. My friends at this point are sick and tired of me giving them makeup. But you know what? If it'll give someone else joy, then that's all that matters. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you couldn't tell, I'm starting to lose my voice already. I've had a lovely time chatting to you. I need to go do some chemistry homework and some past papers because exams start in 19 days. So wish me luck. So if my uploads are even more sporadic than usual, that'll be why. But I hope you have a lovely day. You are an amazing human being, and I hope to see you again. Bye.